Hello, wonderful teachers. I wanted to just send out a quick idea, and hopefully it gets there in time, but a good way to jump into the lesson on the 3 witnesses and the 8 witnesses. So this is something I enjoyed doing in seminary, as I would start out the lesson by just holding up my hand and telling the class that I have something in my hand that has never been touched by human hands. And I would ask the class, how many of you believe me? And not very many did, which I don't blame them. I'm holding it in my hand. And I would say, well, if somebody else comes up and I show them, will you then believe them? And we'd have a discussion there, and I would say, as a matter of fact, pick somebody that you really trust, that if they came up and they saw what I had in my hand and it was true, that you would be more likely to believe them. So the class would pick somebody, they would come up, and I would open my hand and show them. What I would show them is a sunflower seed. And if I needed to, I would whisper in their ear for them to understand that the seed inside that shell had never been touched by human hands. So once they got it, they would go, oh, yeah, he is telling the truth. There is something in his hand that's never been touched by human hands, I promise. And then I would ask the class again, okay, now how many of you believe? And inevitably more hands would go up, and I would say, okay, who's somebody else that you trust? And somebody else would come up, and they would get to see the sunflower seed. And we would get 2 or 3, maybe even 4, who would say, yep, it's true. He really does have something in there. And more started to believe as we would vote on it. And that without showing them what was in my hand, I'd say, okay, now open up to the start of the Book of Mormon, and I want you to go to the testimony of the 3 witnesses and the 8 witnesses. And we would then talk about Joseph Smith was claiming to have plates, gold plates, and but nobody could see them. And how many people doubted him, perhaps? And how hard was that on Joseph not to be able to show anybody those plates? But the Lord in his mercy provided these witnesses that could see them and hear a voice from an angel bearing record, in the case of the 3 witnesses, and then 8 more witnesses that got to physically handle the plates. Anyway, it's a great opportunity then to jump in with your class and just read their different testimonies about the plates, and make that connection between that and the sunflower seed. And at the end, I do show them eventually the sunflower seed, and they go, oh, we have a good laugh, and I say, see, it really was true. But what's the difference when there are multiple witnesses? And then it's just a great springboard into the testimony of the 3 witnesses, the 8 witnesses, comparing the difference between them. One's more of a spiritual witness, one's a physical witness. I love the curriculum on this one, but I just want to give you a fun way to jump in and get going on this one. Have some fun with that. One other thing I want to give you is this quote from Elder Uchtdorf. Maybe some of you saw this back in 2016. He posted this on Facebook and compared his phone to Joseph Smith receiving information through the seer stone. And I'll leave this quote for you to read through, but it's just a fantastic quote. Again, I'll include this PowerPoint in the Google Drive so that you have these slides if you want to use them in your lesson. But I love that comparison that he made. And when the youth really step back and go, oh yeah, we look at our screen all the time and words appear, and they can tell so much, and things that just 50 years ago people would have said, there's no way that's possible. No way that could happen. And now it's happening. And that's with man's intelligence. And then you think about what God's able to do. And even to be able to put words on a stone to help the prophet Joseph Smith translate the Book of Mormon by the gift and power of God. Love that comparison. Hope you find that helpful. This lesson is the perfect example of how we can teach for 45 or 50 minutes or an hour all about the coming forth of the Book of Mormon with the witnesses and without ever bringing it back to Jesus Christ. So I just want to remind you that all of our teaching, we're aiming to still be Christ-centered. And an easy way to do that with this lesson is to take a look at the coming forth of the Book of Mormon and compare it with the coming forth of Jesus Christ and his resurrection. So I like to put the students in groups, let them know that they have a minute or 2 minutes to come up with as many ways that they see the coming forth of the Book of Mormon being compared with the coming forth of Jesus Christ and his resurrection. This is fun, and they'll come up with some great ones. You will too as you ponder this, but I'll include in this PowerPoint that I'll put in our Google Drive all of these slides which show some of these similarities between the coming forth of Christ and his resurrection and the coming forth of the Book of Mormon. There's some really cool ones, but it's just a great opportunity to, again, bring a lesson that otherwise could just stand on its own and bring it back to our Savior Jesus Christ and bear testimony of him and of his resurrection, and how not only does the Book of Mormon teach and testify of Jesus Christ, but even its coming forth bears witness of our Savior Jesus Christ. I also want to make sure you are aware of this great resource. It's a website called witnessesofthebookofmormon.org. If you have a little bit of time to come in and study, this is, to me, the best resource of anything dealing with the witnesses, including links to the movie The Witness. If you haven't seen that, it's fantastic, as well as information about the 3 witnesses and the 8 witnesses. Just a wonderful, wonderful resource. Other witnesses of the plates, as well as some people you might know here who have shared their testimonies about the Book of Mormon, including those of you who are in the Duluth Stake, President Gore, whose testimony is on here and is awesome. So come check it out. It's a great resource, and hope that you find it helpful.